gonna happen to you? You have woke up too soon and found the world rearranged, and now your feelings have changed. Say goodbye to before. You are not welcome anymore. The door's been shown to you. Only as we go through, we run into the night. No sound, no vision, no sight, and no words to explain. Just mountains of change. What's gonna happen to you? You have woke up too soon, and the world is rearranged. And now your feelings have changed. Ooh, today I saw a shadow. And I had the feeling there would be another one in the winter time and one in the summer. When the river was still, we would not help ourselves. It's very easy to do. We never needed to. And the birds that started a fire in the forest. Can you remember the day we had to separate? And nobody knows what's tearing us apart. 'Cause we're part of one another. We're solid apart, apart. When the river was still, we would not help ourselves. It's very easy to do. We never needed to. Today I saw a flower.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for the 4th Annual Girls 20 Summit here from Moscow. What you just saw was a video of a recap of our last 3 summits. And I hope that you see in the next video that we show you in a couple of days the delegates that we have here today. My name is Farah Mohammed, and I'm the president of the Girls 20 Summit. So we're doing things a bit differently here today, this year. Using Google Hangout, we'll be bringing to you speakers from around the world. We're able to do this because we're coming to you from the energetic and innovative headquarters of Google Moscow, led by Julia and her team, in particular Gulnara. So thank you very much. Please join me in thanking Google Moscow. What they've done is put on a workshop, allowed us to use their place, and they have fed us. So thank you. So we've been in Moscow for a couple of days together, and I wanted to give you an idea of what happened before we actually turned the camera on today. Over the past 2 days, our delegates have experienced a journey that has taken them from the steps of the Kremlin to exploring their skills in technology, in leadership, communications, and public affairs. And I'd like to thank Google, Workbay.net, Norton Rose Fulbright, Mikhailov and Partners, Caterpillar, McDonald's, the Nike Foundation, the UN Foundation for investing in our delegates. It is so important that when they come here, they walk away with skills, and the first 2 days are all about skills building and building ideas and trying to figure out what is it they're going to make of this summit experience. And without those workshops, we really wouldn't come as far in such a short period of time as we do. So thank you very much to those content partners for being with us and working with us to cultivate ideas with our delegates. This morning, we actually met with Deputy Prime Minister Delegates, and I think it's fair to say on behalf of the delegates that she was an unbelievable, very candid woman who shared with us what she thinks is working in Russia, what she thinks could be improved in Russia, and also that she sees these girls as true leaders coming forward. With this pre-summit training under their belts and the conversations they've had as the one this morning, I'm now going to give the floor over to our delegates to introduce themselves, to tell us their name, their country, and their advice for G20 leaders. I'm going to start with our African Union delegate from Tunisia, Soumeya.
Hi, my name is Soumaya. I'm from Tunisia and I represent the African Union. My advice to the G20 leaders is to take women's voices into account during the decision-making process, because thanks to them, change will happen.
Good afternoon, I'm Maggie Liuzzi, I'm from Argentina, and my advice to the G20 leaders is to finally recognize the huge importance of young girls' claims around the world who will finally become the leaders of tomorrow's economic change.
Hi, my name is Linda and I'm the delegate representing Australia. My advice for the G20 leaders is to invest in alternative forms of education for women across the globe, in particular things like foreign language training so that women in developing countries are able to take advantage of new global opportunities in the global marketplace.
My name is Lara, I'm representing Brazil, and my piece of advice to the 20 leaders is to hear the voice and ideas of girls and women, because they are the agent of change now and in the future.
Hi, I'm Morgane, I'm representing Canada. My advice for G20 leaders is to invest in families by supporting fathers in the home and mothers in the workplace.
Hi, I'm Helen and I'm the delegate of China, and my advice for the G20 leaders is to engage more boys and men in the economic empowerment of girls and women.
I am Mariana, I'm from Portugal, but I'm representing the European Union. My advice for the G20 leaders is for them to start to see women as transformers of their communities.
Hello, my name is Violette and I represent France, and my advice to the G20 leaders is to stop talking about girls and start talking with girls.
Hi, my name is Luca and I'm from Germany, and the advice I would like to give to G20 leaders is to only make promises they can actually keep.
Hi, my name is Ashani and I'm from India. One piece of advice that I would like to give to the G20 leaders is to establish more financial institutions to provide entrepreneurship training and easy credit for girls and women, especially in developing countries. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Putri from Indonesia. My advice to G20 leaders is please supporting the girls and women empowerment in education, technology, and business sectors.
Ciao, my name is Isabella. I'm from Italy. My advice for G20 leaders is to invest heavily in kindergartens and in elderly care. In this way, we will permit to more women to stay in the labor force and to have a family at the same time.
Hello, my name is Carmina. I'm the delegate of Japan, and my advice to G20 leaders is to empower women both economically and socially by enacting policies that encourage them to enter the technology entrepreneurship field.
Hi, my name is Sofía Isadora Padilla Muñoz. I am the Years 20 delegate from Mexico, and my advice to the G20 leaders is to promote education as a way for young women, college education for young women, to easily they can create new business.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elena, and I'm representing Russian Federation. And my piece of advice to G20 leaders is just to listen young girls' voice, because every single one of us has something important to say.
Hello, I am Marwa. I'm representing Saudi Arabia. My piece of advice for the G20 leaders is to listen to girls' voices and listen to the youth. And thank you.
I'm Nontagozo representing South Africa. My piece of advice to G20 leaders is to help women producers have access to help women have access to
sorry. Okay, take your time.
Okay.
Lots of G20 leaders do that. They have to take their time. So
Yes.
don't worry.
Okay. My advice to G20 leaders is to help women producers have up-to-date access on production premises and technology.
Hi, my name is Yumin and I'm from South Korea. My piece of advice to G20 leader is to provide more incentives for those companies who engage a lot of women so that a lot of women can be in the economic sector. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dinara, and I'm representing Turkey in the Girls 20 Summit. My advice to G20 leaders is to make women's education a priority in both domestic and foreign policies.
Hi, I'm Ellie from England and I'm the United Kingdom's representative, and my message to the G20 leaders would be to ensure that all children are learning of the Millennium Development Goals because they are the key to our future.
Hi, I'm Jenny and I'm representing the United States of America. My advice to G20 leaders is to put girls like us, the G20 girls, on your advisory boards so that we are ready for top leadership positions.
Well, thank you very much. Obviously, you can see that we've got a great group of girls, and this is why I call that other group of G20 the other G20. I always refer to the Girls 20 as the G20. So a big round of applause for our delegates. I just can't wait to see what you come up with in terms of the actual line-by-line recommendations that they look at and they see, why didn't we think of that? So before I move on, I do want to call special attention to a few people. Jennifer Hollett plays a dual role at the summit this year. Every year from the very beginning, Jennifer has served as our official Girls 20 Summit moderator, what that means is she takes all these great ideas, has a conversation with the girls over the course of one day, and at the end of that day, they have a communique that they can be proud of, that they own, that are their ideas, and then that's what we present to the G20 leaders. So Jen, thank you very much for being that moderator every year. I'm sure that we've got some good stamps in your passport by now. Jen has also agreed this year to be our on-site coordinator, being with the girls every step of the way and helping them actually navigate Moscow. So thank you very much, Jen. Also, I'd like to say thank you to Zelina. Zelina is also serving as our on-site coordinator, is from Russia. So thank you so much for teaching us about a country that many of us don't know very much about. You've been a fantastic ambassador for your country. I'd like to also point out that we have a young woman who's serving as our intern. Her name is Isabella Goldenberg, and Isabella has been doing all types of things, and the reason we brought her in is because hopefully one day somebody like Isabella, if not Isabella, will be standing up here, or one of you, leading the Girls 20 Summit. So thank you very much. And finally, I'd like to thank our volunteers. We came to Russia, and the best thing that you can do is ask the advice of people who live in the country in which you're going. And through Nina and through Leslie, who has joined us just recently, we had an opportunity to have 3 or 4 Russian students who are doing their exams today, otherwise they'd be in this room. They've worked tirelessly, and I would like to extend my personal thanks to them for working with us and being with us since we arrived here in Moscow. So a round of applause to all those people. So just a few words about the themes of the Girls 20 Summit. Every year we pick 2 themes under the title of Opportunity Gained, and this year we're looking exactly at the G20 leaders' agenda. So they're looking at jobs, growth, and investment. We're doing the same. The second day is always something around opportunity lost. If you don't do something about this issue, you're losing out on an opportunity. This year we're looking at the eradication of early forced marriages. We'll get into this more tomorrow, but I'll just leave this with you. 14.2 million girls get married in forced marriages every single year. 10 years, that's 142 million girls that we're taking out of the system. I won't say more about that, but tomorrow we will explore that theme. The Girls 20 Summit is a unique platform. I think everyone here every day has heard me talk about the importance of our partners. I'd like to really put a spotlight on them. You saw at the end of the video a whole bunch of partners come together, and I'd like to put a spotlight on a few in particular. First of all, we have about 50 partners who help us find these amazing girls, amazing young women. And if we didn't have those partners on the ground in the different countries, we would not have found you. So to them, a global thank you. We also put a very specific premium on partnerships because it's not about funding. Having a summit like this is not just about the money. It's about the ideas. It's about the content. And in particular, I'd like to thank Caterpillar, Girl Up, United Nations, Norton Rose Fulbright, Nike Foundation, the Novo Foundation, the Gerald Schwartz and Heather Reisman Foundation, Kinross, Workbay.net, Académie Diplomatique Internationale, Macro Blue, and Mikhailov and Partners. On behalf of the delegates and my team, thank you so very much, not just for your funding, which of course is important to any event, but for your ideas and your commitment of time to make sure that as we make our decisions, we do it with real information. So to all of you, thank you so very much. I don't have a lot of time, but I just want to really synthesize for you why we're here today, how we got here, and where do we go from here. Just very quickly, a couple of years ago, I was serving on a panel through the Clinton Global Initiative, and it was called the Network for Advancing Girls and Women. And in that room were about 100 different representatives of private sector, the social sector. By the way, I don't call it the not-for-profit sector. We, in fact, are the social profit sector. And this group of people decided that they were going to make a 10-year commitment to keeping the issue on the agenda, because things come and go. Issues are popular one day and not popular the next. But this group of organizations, senior level people from around the world, made this commitment. And through this, organizations like ours have been able to say, look, from the perspective of investments, you need to invest in girls and women. So this has been something that has been a work in progress, and it will continue. So I think it's very important that we understand that we have just started this process. The decisive, the decade for girls and women is about 2 years in. We have a lot of work to do. So I look at all the delegates when I say that, because the burden really is on you to go back and start doing things in your own community. So how does the Girls 20 Summit contribute to this? While we call ourselves the Girls 20 Summit, we're really more than an organization that gets together once a year and makes new friends and then sings Kumbaya and everyone goes home. No, that's not what we do. We have a huge lineup in the months leading up to this. The delegates are probably looking at me saying, how much more did I have to read? How much more did I have to learn? How many times were you guys going to email me? It's because we want them to come here prepared. We want them to understand industries and the issues. So we do a lot of work on the front end, and then there are 3 major phases. There's the workshop phase that I've told you a little bit about. There's the summit itself, and then there's the delegate-led initiatives. And I'd like to point out this year, we've just launched on our website, which is girls20summit.com. If you go to the summit tab and you go to delegate initiatives, they own that space. You look at that map, you put your cursor on somewhere in that map, and you'll see a picture of one of our past delegates and a description of what they've done. And I'm proud of them for doing that, because they can come to a summit, go back home, and do nothing with that experience, or they can do something with that experience. So I encourage all of you guys to look at that map and see yourselves after this summit, describing who you are and what you've done. I'd also like to take that opportunity to thank Macro Blue, who is our designer of our website and allows us to tell our story to the world. Now I'd like to highlight a few special things about the summit this year. I told you a little bit about our meeting this morning with the Deputy Prime Minister, Madame Delegates. We also will have an opportunity at the end of the summit to meet with the main Sherpa to President Putin, Ms. Ksenia Yudeva. I apologize in advance if I'm not saying the names correctly. She will be meeting with the girls for about a half an hour to hear directly from them of their ideas. And the reason that's important is because Ms. Yudeva will then go to President Putin. Of course, the invitation is open if he'd like to come and join us in that meeting. But she will go and she will debrief him on the ideas. And because he is, in fact, the chair of the G20, we then share that information with all of the ambassadors, ministers of finance, ministers of agriculture. I've probably missed a few prime ministers and presidents, so we know that they get our information. Otherwise, we've had a great meeting and it doesn't go anywhere. So we are very thankful to Ksenia and Svetlana Lukash from the Office of the Sherpa to make this possible. Also, I'd like to extend a personal thanks to Ambassador John Sloan. The first meeting I have when I go to a country to figure out the Girls 20 Summit is to meet with the Canadian ambassador. He's been phenomenal. His staff have been great, and we will have a reception by invitation only. I'm sorry we can't have everyone there at his place at the very end of the summit. Finally, I know that I've got to wrap up, so I'm going to tell you that on your programs or on our website, there are many different ways to be part of the conversation. There's Google+, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. We encourage you to join the conversation by using these handles and tweeting with the hashtag Girls20Summit. And now, I'm very pleased to introduce Elaine Kunda. Elaine, I was going to read out every single thing I know about you, but that would take too long. I'm going to introduce Elaine by saying two things. One, and this is not the most important, but she is our an advisor to the Girls 20 Summit Committee. And Elaine, in her business life, has been a serial entrepreneur. She's started businesses, opened businesses, closed businesses. She's working on a business now. She has a degree from McMaster University. She is a phenomenal woman with vision, with innovative ideas, and with a commitment that I have seen come to life over the last 6 months. And without her, we would not have the summit that we have. So it is my pleasure to invite to the podium to take over for the rest of the day, Elaine Kunda.
Wow, I'm so excited and thrilled to be here. And for you girls, this is the first time you've seen me with makeup and high heels and actually looking presentable. So hello. Thank you, Farah, and hello to our sponsors and to our viewers online. We have an amazing agenda ahead of us today through use of Google Hangouts, video, and we will have some live panelists. We are going to be talking about a topic that's very important to me and hopefully important to many of you in this room, which is technology. We believe that growth and opportunity for people, and especially women, will come from increased understanding, access to technology. To start out, I had the pleasure of interviewing Arianna Huffington last week in New York City at the Huffington Post studio. And not only is she an incredibly bright, successful, and accomplished woman, but she was just a delight to be around. And I was very grateful to have the opportunity to be in her company. So we have, unfortunately, she wasn't able to be with us live, but we did tape a video that we are going to share with you today. So please take your attention to the screen, and we will share the video with you. Hi, my name is Elaine Kunda, and I'm an advisor with the Girls 20 Summit. I'm here today in New York City with the illustrious Arianna Huffington, a woman who really needs no introduction, but I will take a few moments to share some of your many successes with the girls today. Arianna Huffington is the chair, president, and editor-in-chief of the Huffington Post Media Group, a nationally syndicated columnist and author of 13 books. In May 2005, she launched the Huffington Post, a news blog and site that quickly became the most widely read, linked to, and frequently cited media brands on the internet. In 2012, the site won a Pulitzer Prize for national reporting. In 2006 and again in 2011, she was named the Time 100 Time magazine's list of the world's 100 most influential people. Originally from Greece, she moved to England when she was 16 and graduated from Cambridge University with a master's in economics. At the age of 21, she became president of the famed debating society, the Cambridge Union. Arianna, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you, Elaine. It's great to be with you.
Thank you. So I have a few questions today that we're excited to get your answers. The girls, the 21 delegates, will be watching this video in Moscow in just about a week. So we're excited to hear what you have to share with them. So my first question, as you know, the Girls 20 is about cultivating a new generation of leaders. And you have been a role model and inspiration for girls and women of every age. And what we'd really like to do is have you share some personal information about what makes you tick, what motivates you, and also share some of your first big business win and maybe your first big disappointment in business.
Well, first of all, I just want to say how excited I am to be speaking with you and through you, the girls, because I have two daughters who are in college, and there's nothing more important to me than making sure that the next generation of women leaders grow up feeling completely empowered to take on any challenge and achieve anything. And from my experience, the first thing is to overcome our own fears and doubts. That's why I wrote a book called On Becoming Fearless, which was really for my daughters, because women tend to want to do everything perfectly, and we need to learn to just accept that perfection is not of this world, and not to let our own judgments and especially self-judgments get in the way. In my case, I was a very self-judgmental person. I had this voice in my head that I called the obnoxious roommate living in my head, that was constantly kind of putting me down and making me question what I was doing. And speaking of failures, you know, I suppose my first big failure was my second book. When I decided I wanted to be a writer, my first book actually was very successful, and then I wanted to write a book on leadership. Okay. And I wrote the book, and it was rejected by 36 publishers. And during that whole time, you know, I started questioning whether I really was meant to be a writer, whether I had picked the wrong profession. I also ran out of money. And what really helped me during that difficult period, I was living in London at the time, was persevering, trusting, and not letting my fears and disappointments get in the way. And when I ran out of money, I remember I was walking down St. James's Street in London, and I saw Barclays Bank, and I went in, asked to see the bank manager, and asked for a loan. And believe it or not, he gave it to me.
Wow.
I still send him my holiday card every year. But for me, this was a little bit about remembering that very often in our lives, if we look back, any one of us, we see that as in fairy tales, when the hero or the heroine is lost in a dark forest, there are all these helpful animals that come out to help us find our way out. And in life, too, there are helpful animals disguised as bank managers or whatever, who are there ready to help us. So to remember that as we go through challenges, and we always will go through challenges.
For sure. Well, thank you for that. I've read a lot lately about your idea of redefining success, and I find that very interesting, and I think it's important for young women and all people to really understand what success looks like, and I'd love for you to share your thoughts on that.
Yes, that's something which is incredibly important to me right now. You know, we tend to define success in terms of mostly two things, money and power, and this is for me like a two-legged stool. You know, it doesn't really work long term. And that's why we launched a section on the Huffington Post and a conference last week that we called Redefining Success, the third metric. The third metric, we deliberately did not give it a specific name because it includes a few things. The first is a sense of our own well-being. Very often people, especially when they're starting in their careers, you know, work round the clock, burn out to the detriment of their health and their sense of well-being. So we need to prioritize well-being and consider well-being an element of success, because what's the point of having money and power if your health has been impaired? The other one is wisdom. You know, we need to really make a point of connecting with our own wisdom, which often includes disconnecting from technology in order to connect with ourselves.
Which we could all learn to do better.
Exactly. And, you know, I've been meditating for many years, and I find that an incredibly effective way to disconnect from all the everyday issues I'm dealing with and connect with something deeper. Then, two more things. Empathy and giving. I mean, this is kind of critical, that we need to learn to be empathetic, that success is not just about taking, but about giving. And finally, a sense of wonder about life. You know, there's something magical about life, you know, with all its difficulties, and very often we forget to notice the little things.
Right.
And remembering that can add an enormous amount of gratitude to our lives.
And is this something that is new in your life, or have you always been able to embrace these four other things, the third leg of the stool?
Intermittently, but then in 2007 I had a kind of rude awakening when I fainted from exhaustion. And broke my cheekbone, got 4 stitches on my right eye, and that was the beginning of really taking these things much more to heart and making them much more of a priority in my life.
Do you think that's something, that wisdom comes with age and experience, or do you think it's something that these girls could be learning they're all between the ages of 18 and 20?
Well, obviously wisdom comes with age and experience, but I feel that you can have a shortcut. Right. There is no reason why you need to go through all the same difficulties and tribulations, because you have that wisdom in you right now. You don't have to be my age to have that wisdom. It's just a question of taking the time to tap into it.
Right. And I think that's the very reason we bring such amazing people together to share with these girls so that they can take these shortcuts. So thank you. There are many powerful men and women who are speaking out openly and frankly about the fact that there is an enormous gender gap in business and also in society as a whole. Organizations like the World Bank and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, as well as individuals like yourself, Sheryl Sandberg, Archbishop Tutu, are speaking openly and frankly. And what my question for you is, how do we take this from conversation to execution? And what do you think are the steps that need to be taken to get more women in the boardroom, but also in positions of leadership and power?
I think 2 things. What Sheryl Sandberg is saying about leaning in, overcoming our own fears, making sure we ask for what we want is very important. But also we need to change the workplace, because very often women don't want a place at the top if that means leading a life which is fueled by burnout. So I think when women want to be able to integrate all aspects of themselves, it's going to be much easier to achieve a larger number of women at the top of businesses, governments, etc., if we have a workplace that's more humane and more sustainable. And that means if we redefine success for everybody, not just for women, but for men. And for women, it's even more important because we internalize stress more. So the data is very, very disturbing. Women in stressful jobs have a 40% greater, they are at 40% greater risk of a heart disease and 60% greater risk of diabetes. So this is something very real, and that's why we need to have workplaces that can reduce the amount of stress that work produces. Here in the Huffington Post newsroom where we are now, we have 2 nap rooms. Right. We have weekly yoga classes, meditation classes, breathing exercises classes, and we've also launched an app which is free from the App Store, if you have an iPhone, called GPS for the Soul.
Right, I read about that.
You know, it gives you a proxy for your stress level, your heart rate variability, and then you can create a personalized guide to help you course correct.
Interesting. So out of curiosity, are these nap rooms and programs that you've put in place, are they widely used and accepted?
Yes, and it's really made a huge difference in people's lives here in our offices. We are opening a new office in Washington, which is actually going to have dedicated meditation, yoga, and nap rooms. And we believe that it also shows all our employees that we care for them as human beings and not just as robots producing things. And in the end, there's no question that people are more productive and more effective.
And I think it's important to point out that we're focused on girls and women, but I think this is applicable to all employees, and it's not just about women.
Oh,
it's
absolutely. It's just that
people.
It's just that women would kind of lead the way to changing the way things are, because men made it the way they
That's
they
right.
are.
I always say if there were more women at the boardroom table, the conversation would change much faster, and we just need to get more in there to make that happen. So thank you. The delegates watching this video have a really unique opportunity. They are going to be giving a platform and a voice to present to G20 leaders their suggestions and recommendations for change for women globally. And I would love to hear, and I'm sure they would also love to hear, your thoughts and what your recommendations would be for them with this great opportunity in front of them, what they should be saying to these leaders for change for women.
Well, the G20 leaders have already made a declaration in favor of all these women's rights, equal pay, equal access to education, etc. So I think the request should be to move from declarations to action.
Right.
That is really the key now. It's sort of the time has stopped. It's no longer about talking, but about doing. And when we have hundreds of thousands of young women dying at childbirth or because of pregnancy complications, that's like a first primary step, which is young women's health. And then the next one is access to education and STEM education. Even here in the United States, we need women after high school especially to be encouraged and to move into STEM college degrees and STEM jobs which are in such high demand. Yeah. And also the G20 governments can see the power of social media to organize these young women around all these issues of education, of health. We have a dedicated section on the Huffington Post about global maternal health, and also about service. A lot of these young women want their lives to be about service, so they need to be helped along the way to overcome these very, very basic challenges that they're facing.
It's interesting that you mentioned the STEM careers. One of our big mandates and focus for the conference is how do we get more women interested in STEM-related education and fields. And we did produce a video with my alma mater, actually, on how to get more women in engineering in particular. The numbers are quite shocking. There's still such a few number of women in engineering and especially in technology. Do you have any thoughts on that? And
what is
what have you
interesting
seen?
is that they drop off after high school, certainly in the States. And we find that when women have people in their lives who can help them discover all the possibilities around engineering or STEM education. Megan Smith at Google has a whole program around encouraging women in technology, making sure that they know about all the role models. At our conference on Redefining Success last week, we had Padma Sri Warrior, who is the Chief Technology Officer at Cisco. She's absolutely amazing, and she's doing it her own way. She's one of the top leaders in technology, but she also tells everybody that she gets 7 hours sleep a night. She writes haikus, she meditates. She can show a different way to do these very challenging sort of jobs at the top without in any way sacrificing the lives that many women want to have.
Right. And I think it really is about awareness, and one of the things that we've really focused on is that the success that women have when they do enter into these professions is quite phenomenal, that it's not that they can't do it or that they don't have a natural instinct for it, it's just getting them into it, and that's one of the things that we're really focused on. So that was it for me, my questions. I don't know if you have anything else that you want to share with the girls before we sign off, but
I just want to say congratulations for being part of this great journey, and I want to invite you to write about your journey and your experience on the Huffington Post. And in order to make it easy, I'm going to give you my email address so you can write directly to me, Ariana, with 1 R and 2 N's, at huffingtonpost.com.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It was
Thank
wonderful
you so
to see you
much.
again. Thank you. So now you can see for yourself what a delightful woman she is. I think there are a couple of key messages that I took away from that interview. One, support for mothers in the workplace. A second is about preventing burnout and integrating tools into the workplace to make sure that people aren't burning out. Redefining what success means and looks like, and also about being fearless. So unfortunately, Ariana isn't available for questions today, but I'm curious to know if there are any comments from the girls, and I'd be happy to try and answer any questions that you may have on her behalf. Okay.
If you could just wait for a microphone.
Hello, so I'm Violette from France. I don't really have a question, but I just wanted to say that it's really interesting to see a woman who is so powerful and has done so much talk about her failures, which is something that we don't often hear about. We always hear only the success stories of women who are entrepreneurs or women who are CEOs, but we don't often hear about their path to this career, like how they made it there and how hard maybe it was to make it, how they had maybe money problems, as she said, or I don't know, other kind of problems. So I thought that was really interesting.
Absolutely, and I think Ariana is definitely one woman who is more than willing to talk about her successes as well as her failures. Any other questions, comments?
Hi, I'm Jenny from the United States, and I have a quick comment and a quick question. First of all, we had a leadership training with Norton Rose earlier this week, and they were telling us that there were these strong poses that we can give when in certain ways to hold our body in terms of talking and presenting power. And I just thought that how interesting that she presented herself as such a humble person, and she's yet so powerful. My question to her, and I guess to you as well, is how did you do it? How did you get up to the top despite the failures? This can be logistical, but it can also be like, where did your inspiration come from?
So it would be unfair of me to speak on behalf of Ariana, but I can, having followed her career, make some suggestions as to what I believe is probably the case. Ariana, her first book was about being fearless, and I think that that is a key factor to her success. It's a book I do suggest all of you read, and I think that that's an important message that she wants young women of all ages to understand, that you can't do anything if you're afraid to take the first step. The next thing I would say is hard work and believing in herself. She has put in the time, she's put in the effort, but I do want to point out that I think she wants to make it very clear that you don't have to work yourself to the bone 18 hours a day to be successful. This was the wisdom she wanted to share with you to help you skip some of the steps that she skipped. She was known for her accident when she fell, it was from exhaustion, and I think that she's learned now that getting proper sleep and having a clear mind is very important for decision making, and sometimes when you're climbing the ladder, that's difficult to see. So I think those would be two things that she would probably agree with me on that are fair statements on her behalf. Are there any other questions? Oh, one more.
Hey Elaine, thanks for doing that amazing interview with Ariana Huffington. So I'm Linda, I'm the delegate representing Australia, and I wanted to hear from you in relation to Ariana, because you both are women, are very inspiring women who work in media, and how do you think it is for women in the media landscape, whether it is in America or elsewhere, to be accepted for who they are as women rather than trying to mimic the attitudes or the perspectives of men?
That's a great question. I can tell you from my experience, I've never had any issues as far as getting jobs and moving up the ladder because I'm a female. I think that fortunately in Canada and the US, that isn't a huge issue. The issue becomes more about understanding the rules of engagement, understanding the language that's being spoken at the table, and once you figure that out, if you're willing to work hard, and the opportunity is there. Having said all of that, I was written up in an article a while back. I was asked to speak at a conference, a digital media conference, and I arrived, and my comment was I thought that I was at a bachelor party, not a conference, because there were so many men and no women. And my question was, where are all of the women in digital media? So despite the fact that there are no real barriers to entry, there still remains such few number of women in the media space, and it's something that I personally have been working hard to change. Okay.
Because we all recognise that social media, new media, digital media, is the way of the future. So what kind of solutions do you have to addressing the dearth of women in those fields?
So yes, social media is something that's critical to success of most businesses. We've seen it impact campaigns. We've seen it act as a form of to organize people to make change. So understanding social media, I believe, is critical for everyone that's entering into the workforce, but not just understanding social media as it relates to your everyday life, but understanding the power and the tools and what you can use social media for. And I wish there was an opportunity, maybe the next summit we can do a talk on how to use social media, but it's something that I do a lot of speaking on at home, and using the power of social media to advance yourself and your career. Okay, I think that will wrap up the questions. So the next item on our agenda, I feel like this is the Elaine show for the next little while. We are talking a lot about women in technology, or the lack thereof, and STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, related fields are very greatly underrepresented by females. And what we want to do are we want to bring ideas and solutions to you girls so that you can make recommendations that are actionable. And so we came up with the idea of going to a school that is quite involved with engineering and research, and ask the question of faculty and students as to why there are so few women, in this case in engineering. So I'm very excited to share a video that came to fruition very quickly, but turned out quite well, that asks this very question and hopefully answers it.
What I would tell the girls and young women about my experience with engineering is that it's so rewarding and it's just so interesting.
What I would tell other girls is engineering is so much more than what you think it is. It's such a broad field, and a lot of girls just don't know that.
You can make a change in the world one day with what you've learned.
Would you like to travel to Mars? Be the next big internet success? Do you dream of discovering a cure for cancer or protecting our rivers and oceans from pollution? All of these things require engineering. In very real and concrete ways, women who become engineers save lives, prevent disease, reduce poverty, and protect our planet. My name is Elaine Kunda, and I'm a proud member of the McMaster Alumni Board of Directors and a lead advisor of the Girls 20 Summit. The Girls 20 is an organization which promotes the economic empowerment, education, and entrepreneurial training of girls and women globally. I'm here today on the beautiful McMaster University campus to explore the pressing need for more women in the field of engineering worldwide.
Women like to be relevant societally, we like to solve problems, and stereotypically people don't see engineering as doing that. They see engineers as building bridges and making better engines for cars, and maybe not solving problems like how do we make a better heart valve or how do we clean up our water.
Why the ratio is lower is gender stereotypes are all over, and also social beliefs in terms of what is the most suitable job for women.
Move
forward a little bit, what you're looking for is the Xbox Kinect to pick up your face, and you know it's done that when you get kind of a yellow mesh over it.
With encouragement and McMaster's supportive environment, Trinette has succeeded in taking a difficult personal event and turning it into a remarkable innovation.
My mother had a bad accident and has been in a wheelchair for the last 6 months, and just watching her go about her daily life and just trying to complete tasks that we would take for granted, I can see that the support for people with these kind of limitations isn't there. And I feel that anything that I can do in terms of engineering to help make lives better, I should really do that. So what we've done is we've taken the Xbox Kinect and written an application that will track a person's face, and we will translate the movement from that tracking into the movement of a cursor across a screen. And then what we've done is we've built a specific headset that will pick up EEG signals, and by closing your eyes you can actually change the ratio of these signals. So in essence, your face becomes the mouse for a computer and closing your eyes is the click.
I did it!
If we were to get the word out there that engineers actually solve today's problems, I think that we would get a larger number of young women interested in the field.
Although women represent half the world's population, they're greatly underrepresented in the field of engineering.
There was a recent statistic that women in STEM careers earned 33% more money than their equivalents in non-STEM careers.
STEM is an acronym used to describe education and careers in science, technology, engineering, and math. The undeniable truth is more girls choosing STEM-related professions can have a profound impact on society, both socially and economically.
McMaster Engineering is actually doing quite a bit in terms of supporting and promoting women in engineering, and it's one of the main components of the current strategic plan. One of the targets in that plan was to double the number of female faculty, which is very important because they serve as role models for our undergraduate students. When there's more women in it, then the women who are there also feel more comfortable.
Although girls represent only 15 to 25% of the student population in engineering courses in the G20 countries, they are excelling in making their voices heard.
The girls in our programs are extremely involved in all kinds of different things. So our student presidents have been women over the past number of years. They become very involved in things like our summer camps and various programs within engineering. They're very involved with initiatives like Engineers Without Borders and that type of thing that has an impact on society. So not only are they successful academically, but they're making their mark on other aspects of the world.
Whether it's, building a small piece of code and having it run properly with the correct answer, or, going through a full year design project, there's always something that you can look back on and say, I did that and it works and it's great.
Engineering is a field that you could actually get into and make a difference.
With engineering, you're limited only by your imagination. Develop a new technology, design a community, explore a new planet, save a life. It's up to you.